Week 9, lesson number 18. I am psyched. It's today, as I'm recording this, it is March the 10th, and this picture was probably taken about April 25th or 26th or 7th of a year ago. So that leaves roughly 6 to 7 weeks until I can get back to these fish feeding on the Hendrickson hatch. I am super pumped. It also coincides with the end of the semester. So that means we're getting pretty close to the end of the semester for you. Today is agenda day, or today's agenda, I should say. We have praxis prep, we have review material, we have new material, and we have a quiz to take. So first up, here you go. As always, we are doing stop and start. So product means the answer to multiplication. I stuttered, I guess, with the H's there. My computer sticks on the H key sometimes. The rules for operating with integers can be confusing for a few reasons. An easy way to understand it is every time you multiply or divide by a negative, you change the sign. So you start with a 2, then you multiply that by a -1, you get a -2. Multiplying by a +4, don't go changing that sign, leave it a -8. -8 multiplied by a +3. Don't go changing that sign. It's -24. -24 multiplied by a +6. Don't go changing that sign. It stays negative, and I get -24. So here, the 4, the 3, and the 6 are all multiplied by positives. And since I began with a negative, I ended with a negative. But in the first one, I multiplied by a negative, so I switched the sign to a -2. So the correct answer is -144. Let's try this one. Okay, Dominic earns $285 per week plus a 5% commission on all of his sales. If he sells $4,213 worth of merchandise in 1 week, how much will his total earnings be? This is kind of like the way a car salesman would make his money. Okay, so Dom earns $285 plus something each week. That something is based on commission. Let's put aside the $285 for now. We'll get back to it later. Let's just figure out the plus something, the amount he makes for commission. Well, that's going to be 5% of 4213. So 5% is 0.05 of multiply 4213. That comes out with $210.65. Now, let's come back to that 285 and let's add it in for the total amount of money he made. He made $495.65. Okay. Next up, a little Pythagorean theorem kind of question here, and we'll do the review together considering I didn't animate this. But the next one is animated, so it won't be a problem. You can only use the Pythagorean theorem in a right triangle. Okay, we know this is a right triangle because of the right angle down there. We'll call the missing side n. And the Pythagorean theorem says leg squared plus leg squared is equal to hypotenuse squared. Most people don't say that, though. Most people say a squared plus b squared is c squared. The thing you have to remember if you do a, b, and c is that c is always the hypotenuse, which is always the side that is located across from the right angle. The two legs make up the right angle. So one of the legs, n squared, plus the other leg, 12 squared, is going to equal the hypotenuse, 13 squared. 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169. Subtracting the 144 from both sides, I get n squared is 25. So n will be the square root of 25, which is 5. Now, sometimes students will say to themselves, oh, I got this. I can figure this out. I always subtract, or I always add, and that's simply not the case. What you always do is set up the Pythagorean theorem with leg squared plus leg squared is hypotenuse squared, or a squared plus b squared is c squared, and then you substitute in the values and you go where the equation takes you. Sometimes you're going to add them because they're going to be on the same side. Sometimes you're going to subtract them because they're going to be on opposite sides. Let's try this one. Well, apparently this one is being animated too. Frustrating as can be. Let's just work our way through this particular question. Leg squared plus leg squared is hypotenuse squared. So the two legs are 3 and 4. So 3 squared plus 4 squared is going to be the hypotenuse, which is n squared. So 9 plus 16 is n squared. 25, because they're on the same side, so add them this time. 25 is n squared. N is the square root of 25. N is equal to 5. Why is this not? Okay. So that brings us to the review question. So that's the Praxis problem review. Now let's go to the review questions.